who our guest is today.
All right, all right. And on behalf of the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, we are excited to spotlight a dynamic local entrepreneur who's turning greenery into greatness. Today, we're sitting down with Teresa Thomas, the passionate founder of Crazy Plant Bay, a business that's not just about plants, but also about purpose, wellness, and community. Teresa, thank you for joining us today. We're thrilled to hear more about your journey, your business, and your vision for the future.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's just get right into it, right?
Yes.
Tell us about you. Tell us about Crazy Plant Bay.
Well, Crazy Plant Bay is a family-owned business. It's myself, my mom, and my sisters. We started in April of 2020, so we just turned 5. It really is an initiative just to get plants into people's hands. And, during COVID, so many of us were looking for something to give us joy, to give us purpose, and a lot of people found that in plants. So being able to bring those to the community is where Crazy Plant Bay came from.
Fantastic. So, in addition to Crazy Plant Bay, you are part of an entrepreneurial family, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about the family, some of the businesses that you all have been a part of.
Yeah. So we own Crazy Plant Bay on Claiborne, Orleans, 716 North Claiborne. We also own Treme Market Branch, which is a special events venue at 800 North Claiborne. And I mean, for as far back as I can think. So my mom had a plant shop back in the 80s. My dad had a barbecue business. So we've just always been an entrepreneur family.
All right, why do you choose to establish your business in the Treme area?
We chose Treme for a couple reasons. My family is from that area, so grew up around that area. My mom went to Phyllis Wheatley. Treme has always been an area of just Black business and Black excellence. Centrally located, so I've got customers from the east, from uptown, from Metairie. It's a couple minutes in each direction. But just making sure that we are connected to our people, to our community, and being able to make sure that plants are accessible. So they don't have to travel far to be able to get to us to get a plant.
So, you know a lot about plants, right?
Couple things.
Are you the plant whisperer, as people might say?
I've heard that, yeah.
So I have a question though, and I've really been wanting to know this. Who's the crazy and Crazy Plant Bay in the family?
Everybody. It is that is a joint effort. We all at one point we all lived in a house together to take care of my grandmother when she was in her 90s, and it was a house full of women. So it was like 5 or 6 adult women, my grandmother, dogs, a cat, just everybody. So it was always something and always something crazy going on. So we called it Crazy House. So when we were thinking of names, that just kind of fit because there's always something.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that was one of my lanyard questions. Where did the name Crazy Plant Bay come from?
Yeah. So Crazy, kind of from that period when we all lived together, Crazy House. Plant, because it's what we do. And then Bay, as a term of endearment, it's all women. It's my sisters, my mom. So we're just a very women-heavy family. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have another lanyard question. It says, tell us one amazing story about Crazy Plant Bay being on the corner of Orleans and Claiborne.
I got a story every day. I got a story from today. My craziest story, it probably is when I first moved in. We had palm trees outside that we were watering, and this man came and made himself a pallet and laid down under the palm trees, and wouldn't move. All the way to just being on that corner when it's alive during Mardi Gras, and we've got French doors that open up, so we're right on the avenue. All the second lines pass us, all of the social second lines, but then also the actual second lines passed. So yeah, it's an exciting corner.
Oh yeah, Because historically, before the interstate came,
Mm-hmm.
they said that was one of the liveliest or most liveliest area in New Orleans, especially for people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that there was businesses and all kind of stuff up and down Claiborne, right there where the interstate is at. But
Mm-hmm.
once the interstate was built, all that pretty much went away, and that area pretty much died. So now you're part of the revitalization of that area. So how do you feel about being a part of the revitalization of something that once was dead and now you're bringing it back?
Yeah. I love it. I love hearing the stories. I love um talking to the elders that'll wander in and tell me what they remember this used to be. The event venue that we own was the bank branch that supported the commerce in the area. It was called Treme Market Branch. That was the bank. Um, and my great aunt, who was born in like 1915, had an account there.
Mm.
So she could tell me about the bank before the interstate went up. Or the building that Crazy Plant Bay's in was the Branch Pharmacy. So having the daughter of the pharmacist come in and tell me, I remember when the soda counter was here and we did this here, and that's one of my favorite things to hear, is to hear the history and to be a part of something positive in the area, right? Because we know that businesses come and go. And in our community, the businesses that come aren't always positive, aren't always something we need. So to be a business that is able to offer something different than what we normally have in our community is nice.
So you also started this business during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome as you try to get Crazy Plan B up and running?
Yeah. So we started off primarily online, and then we did a pop-up in the venue on Juneteenth of 2020, because venues weren't allowed to operate, but retail locations could. So we turned it into a plant store. The main challenge was just letting people know that there was a new business. And then also, shipping lines were interrupted and inventory was difficult sometimes to get. That probably was the biggest hurdle, was just the inconsistency of things moving around.
Right. So as you learn more about plants and you've experienced, how is it that plants are vital? Well, how can they be vital to everyday life?
Yeah. One, they're air purifiers. So we live in a very chemical heavy society. So based on NASA's research, there's certain plants that purify more, but all plants are going to purify, and they're going to pull some of those toxins and things out of the air. They just bring a different level of joy. When you walk into a space that's alive, that has greenery in it, it just feels very different than just an empty white room. But then also it gives you that, like, what's next? That's something to look forward to. I know every time I see a new leaf that's almost opening, I can't wait to like get back home that night to see if it's opened. And during the pandemic, when we really didn't have anything to look forward to, right? It was just like, okay, today is today, and whatever tomorrow is tomorrow. But we knew that this plant is steady growing, and that we'll see this leaf open, and that's going to be our indication that there is something else coming. There is life still happening.
Right. So we're getting a lot of texts here with questions. So if you're out there listening and you want to join in the conversation, reach us on the talk line. It's 504-582-9422. Again, that's 504-582-9422. So got another question that popped up here. What are the best house plants for healthy air with pets or for people with allergies?
Yeah. So based on NASA, they put out a top 10 list. Top 4 plants are snake plants, peace lilies, monsteras, and spider plants. Those are probably your most common house plants as well. Snake plants, mother-in-law Sansevieria, is number 1 because it purifies the air 24 hours a day, versus other plants that need like the sun and light. Snake plants just kind of keep going. But really any plants are going to do it, but those are the top 4.
So how are plants? So when we think about just the historical nature of the area where you're in, the the plants, how are plants tied to, our culture, or how can they be tied to our culture?
Yeah. I hear a lot of people come in and say, I don't have a green thumb. We have an ancestral connection to the land, right? We were doing plants before they told us we should do plants, right? We've always been a people that grew and ate what we grew, that seasoned our food with what we grew, that used it as medicine, all of the things. So that's how plants tie into our culture, right? But then we all had a mom, an aunt, a grandmother that just had plants everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different time. They had more time to be at home. And if we take time, we all can be good at plants. If that makes sense. Like, we just have to take that time and slow down and really invest it in something we're interested in, or something we might be interested in and we just don't know it yet.
Right.
So, do you just deal with plants in your building, or can you tell us about agriculture, plants that grow outside that you just spoke about that we add to our foods? Do you also?
So I don't do a lot in the way of herbs and things. My sister and I bought a farm, so soon come on that. But I grew up growing things in my backyard, right? Easy things to grow: cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, and my degree actually is in agriculture, so I probably should say that I do more of it than I do. But so I grew up doing that, and I spent a lot of time doing like kind of the easy things in schools and with community gardens and whatnot, to encourage people to grow their own food and to do their own backyard gardening, to be able to hit some of those easy things, right? Basil's easy to grow, tomatoes easy to grow. And when the food that we grow is way different than the food that we buy, right? It's something to be said about eating a fresh tomato. I don't know if it actually tastes better if you work so hard that it just tastes better. But I love working outside with herbs and veggies, especially with kids, because you get that when they're invested in something, they're more likely to try it. So you can convince a kid that they should eat bok choy because they grew it, but if you take them to the store to buy it, they're not gonna want it.
Right. So, with that being said, and now I'm interested in the whole farming deal. So, since you brought it up and you're on the radio with a viable listening audience, can you please tell us about the farm and your future endeavors?
Yeah. So my sister and I bought a farm. It's 4-5 acres, something like that, on the West Bank. It is, the front half of it is a flower farm. So we will be growing all types of native and wildflowers. It'll also be like a reception space. So we'll host events in the flower field. People can come out and pick their own flowers, kind of a thing. And the back half of the farm is going to be agritourism. So you'll be able to come out and stay on the farm and do farm things for the weekend. So you'll have like a little plot of land, if you will, that you'll be tending to while you're there. And whatever is growing, you can pull your tomatoes off. You can get eggs from the chickens. You can really just immerse yourself in the land and being outside. So we actually hosted a retreat in March on a smaller scale, just kind of to get our feet wet. I think it was like 16 Black women that came out and stayed out over the weekend on the farm. And we had fresh eggs in the morning, and we roasted our coffee over a fire. We cooked all of our food over the campfire. So the farm really is a way for us just to get people out of the city. And it's only 25 minutes door to door from the farm to the store. But get people out the city, reconnect them with nature, because that's really where I think where we need to go as a society, is like, how do we realize that we are just a small part of this bigger world? And then also teach people about growing their own.
Right. So I'll take this time to quickly talk about the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. So the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, founded in 2006, it's an organization that supports, promotes, advocates, and educates members for sustainable growth and expansion within the Black community. The New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce is dedicated to the business development and economic empowerment of the New Orleans community, of the New Orleans economy. Excuse me, particularly the black communities throughout our region. Now, after 15 years, the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce continues to be a great resource and voice for black business owners and entrepreneurs in the region. So, Teresa, you all were able to join us at our 11th annual Golf Classic, Regional Black Chamber of Commerce Golf Classic, where you didn't get a chance to come out, but mom and sister, and you all were a sponsor of our Ladies with Drive golf clinic. So, how important do you feel like organizations like the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce is to black businesses?
I think it's very important. Couple things. The ability to be in a room with people that speak the same language that you do is invaluable. So you can talk to people all the time, but if you're not talking to people that understand what it is to be an entrepreneur or to have the entrepreneurial struggles or wins, it doesn't hit the same, right? But then also the resources. So as a small business, I don't have the same power, the same voice as larger businesses. But when these organizations come into play and we all can collectively have that voice, it definitely makes it more powerful.
All right, looks like we have a listener joining in the conversation. Welcome to the conversation. You have any questions for Miss Teresa?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Nicolia. I am one of her cousins. I think it's very important that she lets the public know her community efforts and how she teaches the youth classes. When she first started out here with her business ventures, I know she started with Go Veggies and she was building planter boxes, and I would love to see her do that again. So do you foresee merging Crazy Plant Bay with Go Veggies at any point? Do you think that you have time to do that?
Good question, cousin.
Thank you for calling in, Nicolia.
Of course, I'm at work. I got to support my baby.
Thank you. When I graduated from college, my degree was in agriculture, economics, and international trade. And I retired to take care of my grandmother and needed something to do. And my grandmother really liked plants. So I started building I built a planter box for her. And then I started building more and more planter boxes to teach people how to do that backyard gardening. And I did that full time for a couple years. Took a break, went back into my career, and then during the beginning of COVID, I did go back to Go Veggie before Crazy Plant Bay. And I kind of still dabble in it. I do tend to do more Crazy Plant Bay things now, but I do love working with kids and teaching people how to grow their own. So Go Veggie's large plan is turning it into, it's kind of moving towards this farm, but also offering, one of the things I'd like to do is offer courses on from start to finish. So teaching people how to build their planters. The soil in New Orleans isn't the best. So teaching them how to build their planters so we can go above ground and we can grow things in healthy soil. And then all the way to, they've built these planters, how do they compost and how do they grow their own?
Gotcha.
So you talked about Tremaine Market Branch being inside of an old bank branch, and as a banker, I'd be remiss to not bring up Fidelity Bank's Power Program, which you have been a proud partner of for since the inception, about 5 or 6 years now. So when you think about programs like Power that connects entrepreneurial women together in great environments, how do you see connections like that benefiting you as a business owner and largely the community as a whole?
Yeah, I think directories are big. If I know that I'm looking for something, I can flip through a directory of businesses that are part of these organizations or these programs to find what I'm looking for. And I also, again, have that network of people to talk to. So small businesses, yes, but if I can talk to a small business that's woman-owned and we can kind of bounce ideas off of, it's definitely valuable.
Fantastic. And you can learn about Fidelity Bank's Power program by visiting fidelitybankpower.com.
Well, the New Orleans Black Chamber of Commerce have several events that are coming to the forefront. Next month, we will have on May the 21st will be the Corporate Connect that will be at the New Orleans Jazz Market. On June the 27th, will be our men's event, which will be at Suno. So please, stay tuned and look for those notices. And on October the 3rd, which will be our women's event, and Madam Crazy Plant Bay, we're inviting you to come out to that particular program, not only to be just a member, a vendor, but also to be in that number, and also to present on how you got to where you at and your future visions of doing other things. So as being a vendor, we want some plants over there in the place. We want some people to come and not only buy some plants, but participate in everything you do.
I'll be there.
Sounds like a plan. So we have another caller. Thank you for joining us today.
How you doing?
We're doing fantastic. You have a question for Miss Teresa?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, where did the idea come from for Crazy Plant Bay? And just wanted to know where the idea come from, because I've passed by the store several times and it looks like a pretty nice store. Did it originate in New Orleans? Where did it originate?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, my sisters and I were all spread out. So I had a sister in San Francisco, a sister in Baltimore, and I was here. And my sister in Baltimore, Rochelle, kind of came up with the idea. So we were mailing plants back and forth. She was mailing plants to her friends. Again, just how do we connect with each other in a time when we're apart? So she came up with the idea, and then she's technically my full partner. So how do we continue to spread this? So she did. So my sisters were doing pop-ups in their cities. We started a pop-up here, and then kind of expanded from there. And my sisters have since come back home. So we're all here, and we're all doing it here.
Cool. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you guys have a website, or is there any way I could buy and have it shipped?
Absolutely. We definitely ship. CrazyPlantBay.com is our website. All of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is all Crazy Plant Bay. And Bay is spelled B-A-E.
Nice.
Well,
okay. That's all I wanted to hear. Thank you so much for your hard work and efforts in the community.
Thank you for joining us.
Now, I do have a Crazy Plant Bay story.
Mm-hmm.
I came there. It was my mom's birthday. My mom lives in Angie. So I was passing by, because I always pass by there, either going to Zulu or it used to be Basin Street Lounge and all that kind of stuff. And I saw it on the corner. I was like, all right. And I saw some plants outside. So I stopped. I grabbed the plant that was outside. He was like, oh, no, don't bring that in here. Those plants have something. And they will give all the rest of the plants that's in the building a disease or something. So then I was like, oh, snap. I done brought a disease-filled plant inside, and I brought it back outside. And then you still was talking to me about the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I just need a plant right now. So I did buy a plant for my mom. She loved it. And I think it's still living, because she is one of those green thumb people. She has
plants everywhere.
A garden, and sometimes in her living room it looks like a forest.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, and we will be coming back to buy more plants.
Oh, good.
And I advise everybody, the listening audience, please, Lottie, Dottie, and everybody, please go see Crazy Plant Bay.
Thank you.
All right, so we're out of time. That passed by so quick, huh?
Fast.
So is there one piece of advice you'd like to share with the audience before we cut out?
Yeah. The one piece of advice that I would share with the audience is give it a try. If you aren't sure of what kind of plant, or if you can take care of plants, you can. You just have to find the right plant for you. Just like everybody isn't your friend, all plants aren't your friend. You just got to find the right friends. You can come into the store. We'll help you pick out the right plant. We do also offer repot services. So yeah, come in. We'll support you through the journey.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Teresa, and your valuable insight with us. Crazy Plant Bay is a beautiful example of how passion and perseverance can bloom into something very impactful. So on behalf of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, we wish you well, much success, and until next week.
And if you want to plant today, go see Crazy Plant Day.
Tuesday through Sunday, 11 to 6.